Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. I just pulled up this Strikes and Spares. It's kind of a mess. But it'll be all right. By the way, if you're waiting for this video, I finally got it done. I'm going to post it here in a little bit. I just got to put it back in the machine and figure out everything that's wrong with it now that I've messed with it. Anyway, back to Strikes and Spares. I'm going to here's the legs that were on it. Just wanted to show y'all, a lot of people, like a whole bunch of people, put the nuts on the top. The nuts belong underneath to kind of help support the bolt up against the bottom of the leg. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to do my best to get these levelers out of here. I'm going to wash them in the sink, and then I'm going to Rust-Oleum, paint them with Rust-Oleum. That one's a little bent. I may see if I can get a big wrench and beat that flat. But these things, after they've been painted, and I just wash off all the surface stuff. I don't clean the rust. If I'm going to paint them, I don't worry with cleaning the rust. That Rust-Oleum will paint right over the rust pretty well. And I use the hammered Rust-Oleum, so if it's got a little texture already, it'll be hidden by the hammered texture, and they'll look fine. The biggest trouble is always getting these old levelers out of there. I got the legs on here, but didn't put the levelers on, do anything on the legs yet. I don't have this bolted up, it just propped up here. I was pulling it up, got the dirt dauber's nest. So that kind of tells you the state of this thing. Has been in a storage bin for probably decades, I don't know. But the back glass, I mean, it's got a little bit of wear, but not too bad. And by the way, this is, I think, my favorite, maybe my favorite back glass in all of pinball. Yeah, have to say. I bought these pretty much sight unseen. Well, I got some of I have a transformer. That's the main thing. Okay. That's one thing that's hard to locate. I don't have an MPU, which means the new one I put in there will be perfect. The Solenoid driver board looks original, but doesn't look too bad. Lamb driver board looks original and looks very clean. Let's look at a couple of these pins. Look pretty corroded. Yeah, probably end up repinning some stuff, but it's all there. Let me get some bolts in this head before it goes. I'll precariously prop it like there while I go get some bolts. I didn't notice this the first time, but I've got the 5,000 amp fuse here wrapped in tinfoil. I'm betting my hell if a voltage system here does not work. What do you want to bet? And or one of these displays is fried. Jeez, yeah, that's not real cool. Hadn't seen that in a while. Let's pull this off. Oh yeah, mouse nest 2000 right there. Looks like some mouse damage on the plastic, some PP. The play field's got a lot of ball swirl. Sometimes Magic Eraser will erase that, and sometimes not so much. A lot of ball swirl all over. Not a lot of wear, a little wear right there. That is probably underneath the Mylar. Same as on, get out of light. Same here. You see the, there's a, I don't know how well y'all can see it, but there's a semicircular ring around those slingshots on both sides. There you can see that one. So that's probably underneath the Mylar. I might take that off. I don't see any other wear. Yeah, pretty filthy. But I got this game for almost nothing, so I think it'll be it'll make it. It'll make it. Oh, there's the rest of my dirt dauber nest there. Pull that out. Oh, geez. Rim shot. Damn it. Well, I guess I'll start. Oh, I'll tell you what I'm going to start with. I'm going to take the head off again so I can pull this power cord out. Damn it. Yeah. Let me do that real quick. That's why I didn't notice it. That's as long as it is. It's been cut right there. So I guess that'll be the first order of business, is putting a new power cord on here. Getting power up to the rectifier board. I believe this is, what is that? Oh, that's just a little detritus. This board, that fuse holder there, is pretty corroded, but the rest of it looks pretty decent. Some of these are burnt. Yeah, some of these pins are real burnt. Well, let me get the glass off, get this thing vacuumed up, just so I don't get hantavirus, and we'll go from there. So I got the top vacuumed up, and I got the vacuumed up on the bottom. And so you see the power cord has been deleted. Put in a new one of those. And then over here, these are all the lines for the switches on the coin door. I don't know if this was rats. That almost has to be a rat right there. Actually, yeah, is that? No, yeah. Some of these almost look like abrasive because they were just on one side. But that one, that's not, I wouldn't think that's abrasion. Although it almost looks like somebody's tied that together. No, it's just, that's just looped over. So yeah, I think the rats have been up here. Geez, so there's like 5 or 6 of these wires that are gonna have to be redone. Maybe 3 or 4. I don't think there's enough slack. Just cut them shorter. I think I'm gonna have to splice in. Hug, that will be fun. So all these at the top have been chewed up. They go back, some of the chewing goes back about as far as there. I realized they were all pinned down right back down there. If I pin them up here instead, I think I'll have just enough slack to do it. So I'm gonna shorten these top ones to about right there. That'll get rid of all the bare spots. Got my pins here. I'll go get my crimper and I'll get to crimping. So it's good to inspect these. I just spent like hours diagnosing a brand new out of the box bond where the crimp was on the insulation, or it was just barely, there was like 1 or 2 strands that were on the wire, so it was intermittently connected. I did take some pictures in case I mess this up. So I'm just gonna keep going. I won't film the whole thing, but I've got another 2, 3, 4, another 5 to go. All right, so I did those 6 or so. Got them, the short ones are the ones I redid. And I got the long ones bundled up, and I just moved this up a little higher to give myself enough slack. So I think that's good. Should look at the coin door. The coin doors are always a nightmare on these old games. That's probably just all the stuff for the center switch. Somebody's cut out, or it was actually, that might be factory, never installed. So next thing, I'm gonna get this plate foot out of the way and get a hot iron up there and solder in a new power supply, or new power cord. So I've got my new power cord here. I get these off of Amazon. Big heavy cord, it's 14 foot. About the cheapest place to get them as far as I know. So if you're wondering which one is a common and which one is a hot, on these old wires, the one with the ridges, that is the common one. So the way this is wired in here, and I'm assuming this is the original one, is that is the common there, and that's the hot side. That probably wasn't, that's the common, that's hot. So this red button looking thing, that's a protects your device. It's kind of like the inverse of a fuse. It's normally open. If you get like a lightning strike or something, you get a whole lot of voltage, this will actually, I shouldn't say the word fuse, but it will close and it will short out, so nothing downstream will get electricity because it's shorted right here, and it's going to throw a breaker in your house. So it's going to, basically this will generate a short so that nothing else downstream gets any juice. The purpose of that is if things like lightning strikes and the like. Anyway, that one looks fine. It's probably going to fall off when I unsolder this. And I don't know if this is labeled. Let me see if it's, which one is, I don't know that it really matters that much. Because it looks like it's been rewired. I don't think those are the factory solder joints. Like to keep the hot on the hot and the neutral on the neutral. I think it does matter, but it's not labeled. I'm gonna put it back the way it was, and we'll see later if that's the right way. So that's all soldered up. So now I'm gonna take the hood off to get the game run up through the back, and then I'll plug it in and see what I've got going on in the rectifier board. So I got the power going back. Well, it's not plugged in yet. First thing I'm gonna do, well, it's not plugged in. So this is the one that brings power into the board from the transformer. Well, it comes in from the power plug, goes into this board, down to the transformer, and then the transformer brings all the juice to the board via the wires on the back. And then it goes out to the game on this plug and this plug. I'm gonna disconnect my solenoid driver board. And I'm gonna take this fuse out. What do you want to bet? It's 1/4 amp. It's been wrapped up because I believe that's what it's supposed to be, 1/4 or 3/16 or something, real small. So we don't have anything plugged in to this board, so I'm gonna pull this board no matter, but I want to see what's going on before I pull it. It'll help me diagnose it on the bench. All right, so it's plugged in, and we'll do the first smoke test for this game for a long time. It may have already been on, I don't know. Let's see if we get any voltages here. Nothing. 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 Maybe it was on already. Let me switch this power the other way. There we go. There's 6 volts, that's good. 180, that's good. That goes up higher once you plug in that top red one and get that big blue, that capacitor there, the top one, under high voltage. Then it goes up to like 220, and then it gets, this circuit here tunes it back down to about 170, 180. You can adjust it however you like. 13, that's the voltage that turns into the 5. That's number 3. I'm gonna skip number 4 because it's AC. Okay, there's my solenoid voltage, 45. Let me put on AC. Whoops, gosh, I got my, so number 4 here, 7 volts AC. So that's my general illumination. So this thing is working. 100%. I've got all my voltages. Nonetheless, I mean, those pins are pretty rough looking. I'm gonna clean them up at least. I'll probably swap out that fuse holder. Yeah, I bet the solder joints in the back aren't looking very nice either. So that's what I'll do next. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and plug this thing in. I mean, I've got all my voltages. I'm tempted to, but I won't. I'll do it in the right order. I'm gonna go ahead and basically, I don't want to say rebuild it, but basically just do some maintenance on this thing. Oh, this is even better. This is not tinfoil. You got to be at least as old as me to know what this is. If you know it, put it down in the comments. I'm not even going to tell you. You young whippersnappers may not know what it is. Is there a label on it? Can't tell if there's a label or not. But I know the general, it's a, you can tell the bands. Anyway, let's see what size this fuse is. 250 volts, okay. Fair enough. 3/16. I think that's probably about right. I see a little filament. It looks like it's busted. Yeah, I just checked with the multimeter. It's indeed blown. So I get this rectifier board unscrewed. There's basically a few screws here and a few more in the back, and this whole thing comes out as one piece. So you just take it over the bench, get a better look at it, solder it up. So it looks like somebody's had this thing out. Most of these older games, these boards have been out before. Oh, I forgot, I gotta unscrew these, because those are the 3 rectifiers, and then there's essentially a 4th one made out of 4 diodes, but those are screwed down to the plate. Those form the heat sink, so I gotta get a screwdriver and unscrew those first. Okay, so I took out those 3 screws, so now it's just these 4 little connectors. There we go. And now we can see what awaits us underneath. Yeah, the solder looks awful. Let me take you off the stand. I'll zoom in and show you. Pretty filthy too, but some of these are looking really not so good. If I can get it to focus on the right thing. See that one? It's fractured all the way around. Some of them are worse than that. Let me find another one here towards the end. So that one there, same. So anyway, the first thing I'm gonna do is just clean this with alcohol and a toothbrush and get rid of all the dirt. And then I'm gonna reflow the solder, and I am gonna replace this fuse holder there. And these pins, they don't actually look burnt, they're just dirty. So I think I'll just clean those with a brass brush and some alcohol. And other than that, reflow the solder on them. And yeah, these fuse holders, geez, they look, on the back side, they look pretty sorry too. So I've got a lot of resoldering to do. So just get everything cleaned up, and it makes it a lot easier to solder when it's moderately clean. And when you don't end up embedding all that dirt in the solder. And the dirt really doesn't want to embed, so it makes your solder flow a lot better when it's clean. So I'll give that a second to dry off, and then I'll get to work trying to resolder it a little bit. want to try to take this one out. It's maybe kind of difficult because it's really old solder, and there's a huge pad that's just sucking all the heat. The other side's even going to be more difficult because it's got the wires around it that are in the way. Whew, it's hot. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I have to figure out a way to get to it. One thing I've learned about putting fuse holders in is grab a fuse. I just took this one here because I couldn't find the other one, and put it in there, and that keeps everything oriented properly. And if I can set this down there, I get this tacked in real quick. All right. I am going to check all the fuses before I get too much further. Get a brush. I'm going to clean these up a little bit. I could swap them out, but I'm not going to. They actually don't. They mostly just look dirty. So I'm going to use a brass brush just so whatever plating's on there, I don't scrub it off. I'm probably going to LED this game. I'm not sure. The reason I mention that is because most of the problems you have are for the GI lights and the controlled lights, because that's where all the current's at. And once you LED it, that becomes a non-issue. So any kind of, if you got a, just kind of just an okay pin, it'll be fine as soon as you LED it, because you go from what would be a 20 amp fuse to, you could probably get by with maybe a 3 or 4 amp fuse. Just the current just goes away, as does the heat. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Just rinse it off, let it drain and dry. I guess I'll check these fuses here real quick. I need to get a better tool. Shouldn't say really a better tool, the right tool. This is a piece of junk Harbor Freight, but it's supposed to be a 10 amp, and it is I wish they would print these things a little bit better. It's a 10. Supposed to be a 3/4. It's 3/4. It's good news. When I see fuses that are the right size, it makes me think everything else isn't hacked up. It's supposed to be a 4. And it is a 4. This one was supposed to be in here. It says 5. It doesn't say 5 slow blow. That is definitely a slow blow, and that's a modern fuse. I'll set that aside. So that says 3 amp slow blow, and this is an old school slow blow. It's a 3 slow blow. So I need a 20 amp and a 5 amp. I pulled out, oh, here's another one I pulled out. Wow. I may swap it either way. It's kind of, I don't know if it's coming through, but it's heat distorted. The center of it, it's kind of black. So that's kind of the thing, you go down, these connectors start getting dirty and they can't conduct electricity well, they get hot. And so, and when they get hot, it even further reduces the conductivity and it makes it hotter. So it's just like, it goes downhill. So that thing is kind of trash. So I'm gonna go get a 5 and a 20. Okay, so the last thing I'm gonna do, I cleaned the bottom of these rectifiers. Those mate right here, and that's just kind of, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off here. Yeah, I'll clean all these surfaces and put down some fresh heatsink grease. Should probably take this to the sink and do it. It's kind of a mess. I need to get a rag or something. All right, I got that all cleaned up. So I'll just put a little heatsink grease around here. Line those holes up, put some more. Actually, I'll just put it on the bottom of, just off camera. I'm gonna put them on the bottom of the rectifiers so I'll know that it's in the right spot. Oh, get that. Get all these lined up. All right, so that's all better. It's still a little wet, so I'm gonna let this sit a little bit longer before I turn it on, but I'm gonna go throw it back in the game. Rectifier board is back in the game. I went ahead and checked my voltages here. They're all good. So the next thing I'm gonna do is plug in this board. I'm gonna disconnect all the outputs. And we'll see if we're making our 5 volts and if we're making our 175 volts or 170, 180. I usually set it for about 170. That thing really didn't want to go on there. I think they're all in. Okay. I'll turn it on. Maybe it was on. Let's see. 2.2, that doesn't sound right. Oh, I'm on AC still. Okay. So right here we should have our, got nothing. Yeah. Make sure I've got the game turned on. 6 volts. Okay. So I've got nothing up here. Oh, I don't have this plugged in down here. I've got to plug in, I think, let's see. Yeah, this one here has got to be plugged in. This one goes up to there, so this one's got to go in. I'm gonna turn the game off. Okay, so I might get some lights at this point. Yeah, I got a couple of GI lights on the cat front. Okay, so let's see if we got any voltages now. Still nothing. I'm only getting like 4.5 volts. I didn't push this all the way on because it was a real bear to get off. Okay, that was it. I just didn't have it on all the way. Okay, so I got my 14 volts. So the next one down, that was TP5. This next one down should be the 5 volts, or that's TP1 right there. I got 5.3, pretty high. I usually end up snipping that little resistor out of there, which will drop it about 1/10 of a volts down to about 5.2, which is a reasonable value. The deal is this transformer, there's jumper settings on here, probably says so right in here, yeah, right here, for different voltages. For like one, so like right here it says for 115, for 120, for different volts, for slightly different voltage ties. So one way to adjust this is to change those jumpers that lower the voltage slightly. I kind of prefer to do this because that will only reduce the 5 volts and keep everything else kind of slightly on the high side. It's almost like high tapping slightly. Gives you like a 5% boost on your solenoid voltage. So I'll probably end up cutting that out. But first, let's go over here. Well, we don't have a fuse in there. Well, we can see if the voltage is coming in. I think it's that one. Yeah, I've got 254. So we measured originally like 180 over here. We got 250. It's just because this capacitor is in line here. I'm gonna pull this board here in a little bit anyway, but I do want to put a fuse in there real quick just to see if this thing can regulate it down to 180. So let me go grab a fuse and throw it in there. And this is a weird fuse. It's not, it looks like it's this size, but it's not. It's short. And you can see it's splayed because somebody's put the wrong size fuse in there. I may do the same for a moment, just so I can get something in there. Okay, kind of get the fuse just mangled in there. We'll see what happens. Turn it on. Well, okay, we'll start here again. Our 248. This one should be regulated down. 248. Let me turn this thing down. It's all the way down already, so it's not regulating. So this circuit's not working, which is probably why they had that big. Probably when you hook up the displays, it blows that fuse because something in here is blown. Let me zoom in with my phone. Wow, it's filthy. I'm just looking for something that's obviously blown. I've fixed a few of these, and that one and or that one are usually the culprit. Those two little transistors. Anyway, I'll save that one for another day. I think I've had enough on this one for one day. So that's the next day. I got this solenoid driver board on the bench, trying to figure out, well, try to repair this high voltage. I suspected this and or this transistor. I've got another solenoid driver board here. I've got a note myself on this board. This has got a bad 5 volt, but a good high voltage. So everything that's on this board in this area right here is working. So I can compare my measurements on this one to this one. So I'm going to start by looking at those two transistors. So that's the collector, the base, the emitter, collector, base, and emitter. So those two transistors, I'm going to do a diode check on those. So just put my multimeter in diode check and just pick a couple of them. So I've got nothing, so I'm going to reverse them. Still nothing. Whoa, short. Yeah. Full on short. So there shouldn't be a short. So that one looks bad. Oh, another short. Okay, so interesting. I wasn't expecting both of them, but we can check the diode there, see what it looks like. Let me put the multimeter in view here. So we're looking for something between 0.4 and 0.7 on all these. And 0.65 looks good. And you see the arrows going to the top, so you put the electricity, so the red, your hot one, so you put your probes the same way. So that's 0.14. That's a little oddball. CR21. It doesn't look like a regular, like 1401, 4001, or whatever, 4000. The last digit, just like how much, I don't know if it's how precise or how much reverse voltage. I think it's how much reverse voltage they can resist. Anyway, so CR21. Put you over here. I found the CR21 here. It's right there. So it is, or it's supposed to be by spec originally, one in 4004. But it's bridging this Q21, one of those two transistors, those Q21 and I think it says 22. Those are those two transistors. Wait, 21, 22, and 23. I only measured 2 of them. Missing one? Q21. I gotta see what these are labeled. There's Q22. That's Q23. So that one and that one are showing a short. Q21, I gotta find it. So the third one's the one staring right in the face. It's the big one there. So I didn't check that one. So let me check that one real quick too. Yeah, base, collector, emitter. Shorted. And almost shorted. So yeah, this whole area, so all 3 transistors are shorted. It's possible that only 1 or 2 of them are, and they're shorted, and it's making the other ones look like they're shorted in circuit. So yeah, it kind of sucks. Or it could be all 3 of them are bad. Right now I'm kind of questioning whether I should repair this board, or maybe I've got a whole bin of boards. Maybe start with a different board that's going to have less trouble to get fixed than this one. That's what I'm contemplating. Well, I decided I looked through there, and they're all pretty rough, so I'm going to go ahead and just try to fix this one. I'm going to start this. I just picked this one. I'm going to pull it out first, and I'll measure it out of circuit, and then I'll also see if that unshorts the other 2. And I've also got that diode that's looking suspect. So I've got potentially 4 parts that are messed up, maybe more. So I'm gonna see if this is shorted out of circuit. Confirm if it's, yeah, that's definitely a bad biscuit because that's shorted out of circuit, so it should not be. So that's garbage. Let's just real quick, let's measure these other two now and see if they're still bad too. Yep, that's still bad. That's not as bad. Making progress. On that one, this one would be the biggest pain to take out, so that's why I'm starting with these other two. Okay. See what this one looks like. I'm betting it's bad. Yep. Another bad biscuit. Let's see what this one looks like now. 0.274. That does not look quite right. I want to check that diode real quick. See if that thing looks any better. That's still off. I'm gonna pull that diode out too. I think that's it right there. Getting hot. I'm gonna check this sucker out of circuit. So that was actually good, which tells me this is probably bad, or something, at least something else is bad, because these are both gone and this was measuring bad in circuit. See, that just doesn't quite look right. I'll point to, let me get the other board in here just for comparison's sake. So I know this one works. Yeah, that's what, so all 3 of these are blown. So I'm going to trash that. So I've got to take this one off. I get a flathead screwdriver. I guess I can start working on the solder here real quick. That had a lot of old solder, so I'm gonna re-solder it and then suck it off again, and hopefully I'll get it a little more clean. All that old solder is hard to suck off. That did even worse than the first time. Go get a screwdriver. All right, so I got it all screwed off. Just gonna, there it goes. So I will check this one real quick out of circuit. And I'm betting it's bad also. Yep, it shouldn't be 0.27, it should be 0.4 or 0.5, not that nonsense. Anyway, so that's another bad biscuit. All right, so now I've got to dig through, and I don't want to sacrifice this one because all that needs is a 5 volts. I don't want to tear up that high voltage supply. In my scrap pile, this one looks like it might be a salvageable board. The rest of them are pretty rough, to be honest. That's got all 3 of them. I can check this one. These are all missing pieces and parts. That's got some of them. Somebody stole that one, which means the other 2 might be good. How about I start with this one? Okay, so this is the old board I just pulled out. 0.62. That one looks good. Now, which one is the other one? This one's not labeled. So, that one looks good. Oh, it's right there. Obviously, I'll check this one here. I don't have you all in the field of view. That one looks good also. Okay, so I'm going to start by taking these out gently and hopefully put them to another lifetime of good use. Filled up that solder pad, but I really don't care because I'm not going to use this board again. I just want to get the solder off. That one looks clean. I felt the whole thing move. There it goes. So this one has like a, I guess that other one had an insulator of sorts, just it was smaller. So that one goes into Q22. So I'm just going to straighten these out a little bit. Try to get some of the extra solder off so I can get it down in the holes. And see if I can get it jammed into Q22. Actually, I never did clean these up yet. So I've got to start by doing that. Jeez, what a nightmare that is. This one's missing some parts from the high voltage, so just see what this thing looks like. Nope. This one I've already labeled parts board, so let's see what it looks like. The diode test. Looks good. This is going to be our candidate. Let me unscrew this and we'll try to get it desoldered. So I put it in the game. I have to be careful because there's a very good chance that one of the boards, one of the display boards, has a problem. And by the way, this thing was with that tin foil or chewing gum wrapper stuck in here. It was actually putting out the unregulated 240 volts, which was, you know, about 60 volts too much. So fair chance if the displays are working, they're going to be burned. So I don't know. Anyway, so first things first, I'm going to start with this cap, and I think I'll skip videoing the next part of this. I've shown it on lots of videos. If you want to see it, go watch my other videos going through Bally. But it's just changed these caps, added a couple of jumpers on the back to ground things off more properly, so I don't have to get the ground from the board off the pins. It can take the ground from one of the screws on the back. So got the new cap, got my heat sink back on that one. And on the back of the board, I grounded that's the main cap, grounded the high voltage right there, connected the 5 volts from here down to here so the board doesn't have to take it from the connector. There's a little jumper that jumps it around here from up here down to this pin, which takes it from here to here. So it makes it a much more solid 5 volts for the bottom of the board. So I'm ready to put this back in the game. Come to get a fuse for that. And then I'm not exactly sure. I may just try to, I'm probably going to pull out the displays and look at them, maybe do a little work on them before I even plug them in to the high voltage. Because the last thing I want to do is fry this thing, because, you know, it's fried. It could have just been old age. It could have been one of the boards shorted and caused this to fry very easily. So kind of want to take precaution since I know this game is suspect. So I pulled out all the displays, and some of these have had the solder reflow. Like this one, It has been reflowed at the end, but it's still like they didn't reflow the center and it's all cracked up. This one has not been reflowed at all. You see it's really cold. Yeah, this is one I was thinking about earlier. It's been reflowed at the end, but they didn't reflow the interior ones, and they are, you see that crack all the way around there. They did that one, but not that one. So it's like, I don't know. So anyway, I'm gonna hit them all real quick. And when I power this thing up, I'm gonna power it up first without any of them in there. Make sure it's not shorting out on the board or something. And then I'm gonna add these one at a time. So if one of them is shorting it out, at least, and it fries the transistor, at least I'll be able to identify a bad board in the process. So reflowed the solder on those, cleaned them up a little bit, they're drying. In the meantime, I'm gonna boot this game up with the Solenoid driver board in there. The fuses doesn't fit the holder, but I'm gonna use that down until I get something that fit. Turn it on. Well, no smoke. Let me get my multimeter and see if I've got correct voltages. All right, so I got the game booted up or turned on. I got the multimeter down here. Check the incoming voltage first. So I got 256. And this other one right below it should be the controlled, and it's dead as a doornail. I was programmed a second ago on this big fat resistor right there. I got the 255 on one side, and I've got nothing on the other. And that is, I can't see through there. Phone R, well, it's right next to R55. I'll look on one of the other boards. Wow, that looks damaged, doesn't it? Yeah. I think that's a bad biscuit. R50, that's right, well, it's right next to R55. I'll see what that's supposed to be in the schematics. So here's another one, a working one, so it's R51. And let's find R51 on here. It's a 22K. So I'm gonna go measure that. I'll measure this one first. Sometimes the resistors will be less resistance in the circuit, so I'm gonna measure this one in circuit first. It's probably open though, so anyway, I'll just take this over the game. I got the multimeter over there. Yeah, so I just measured this one. Instead of 22K, I had 11K in circuit. Anyway, this one was open, so I'm gonna yank this board out and swap out that resistor. Should have checked that heavy out the first time, but you know. All right, so I swapped out that resistor. The blue one's the new 22K. I'm gonna throw this back in the machine and see if I get any better result. Okay, I plugged back in. I got the proper fuse. I took out one of those old boards. Turn it on and grab my multimeter. All right, we'll check this top one here first. 254. Hopefully we've got something on the bottom. 211. All right, that's good. So just tune this knob. I'll get this knob right there. I'll get a screwdriver and turn that down to like 175 maybe. All right, I got it tuned down to 175, so my high voltage is working. I'm tempted to plug in some of these displays and see if it lives. Okay, I got the first display in there and I see that light, so it's glowing. And that display actually looks decent. There's no burn. So that one may be a good candidate. So I'm going to keep doing this one by one. And it's tedious, but if something blows, at least I'll know what the problem is. Well, I'm pleasantly surprised. I've got them all in there and they're all glowing. This one's got some burn marks. Might put that on player 4. I might swap it out for a different one. I don't know. But high voltage is working. I still need to go back and repin this, and I may repin this connector here too. I'm going to be doing a lot of repinning on this game, frankly, which is not my favorite thing to do. In fact, it's one of my least favorites, but sometimes you just got to do it. But I'm calling it for today. I'll see y'all tomorrow, like in 2 seconds. So it's the next day. I've been busy repinning. I repinned I just did the burnt connectors on this one. There's a couple of them, and I put the Trifurcan pins on there. They're 3-sided, and so they're much better. I've started on this 25 pin connector up here. You can see the shiny ones. I've got, this is the little jumper, basically goes like that. So it goes from that bottom pin about halfway up. It takes that 5-volt for the top of the bottom. I could take this, I could throw it away because I've got the jumper on the back of the board, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it in there anyway. Just to kind of show you what some of these pins look like. Let me get it to focus here. Actually, that one is not so bad. Let me find another one. Some of them are a lot worse. Oh, that's one of the big ones. Yeah, there's one that's a little bit worse. Just pretty dirty. And you can see that one little shiny spot. That's from getting scratched, pulling it in and off of that the respective pin. So they just see, that's what you see when you look at it. You're seeing that face there, which really doesn't matter directly, but it's indicative of what you're going to see when you pull it out. They kind of look the same usually. So that's the side that you're seeing right there. And if it's dirty, when you pull it out and look, the other side's going to be all dirty and corroded also. So you want to see shiny ones. Unfortunately, man, there's a lot of dirty ones. Those look even worse. These ones that go on the lower of the board, the old boards, the battery's right here, and it corrodes, and that corrosion just eats like cancer and comes up and gets on these, both sides of these. So I'm for sure these two are going to need it. Upper ones. Oh yeah, that's pretty bad. Hopefully not this one, because this is a big mama. Yeah, that's pretty awful also. So, geez, all 4 of those. It's probably some of the lamp boards too. Yeah, this is my least favorite thing. If I'm going fast, I can do about 1 pin a minute. So, you know, it's not hard. It's just that you're kind of leaning halfway over the cabinet to get in here. So it kind of wrecks your back. So anyway, but I'll get this one done in about 2 seconds. Like that, it's done. I cut that little resistor out of there. It's going to drop my voltage about 1/10 of a volt. I was just thinking I should have checked all these transistors when I had this out of the board. None of them look visibly blown, but you know, a diode test would have been a better check. Anyway, I've got the lamp board taken unplugged completely. I've decided I'm gonna LED this game. So I'm gonna take this board out. I might plug it in for a little bit, see if it's working. But I'll leave it unplugged for now. I've got an Alltech. I normally use the Wheelie boards as I buy them. I like the Alltechs. They're fine. They're just a little bit more expensive than the Weebly, and I really like the Weebly. I like the guy that makes the Weeblies too, so I like to support him. Not that I don't like the Alltech guy, I just don't know him personally. But I will say that he has a Alltech. They have like a lifetime warranty. He got one of these boards and he's got a problem, send it back. They'll fix it or send you a new one. I mean, I can't say anything but good about them. Anyway, I've got this one out of the board, so I'm gonna throw it in here. Geez, I still need to repin all these connectors, but my back is kind of wrecked from this one. I'm not going to do the rest of these connectors, at least for a few hours anyway. And I want to plug this in and see what's going to happen, just for fun. I may not have all my voltages. I may not have good communication. So this connector here sends all the digital logic signals to this board, which runs all the solenoids. And this one does the displays mostly, and these two are the switches. One's the cabinet, one's one is for the, I say the cabinet for the coin door stuff, and the other one is for everything on the playfield. I forget which one's which. It might say on the board. It doesn't, but I think this one is for the playfield and this one is for the cabinet. Any case, I'm gonna plug it in and we're gonna see if this thing fires up for the first time in a long time. So y'all just missed it, but what I did, I had that plugged in. This is your 12 volts coming in and a lot of the signals coming back from the MPU. I also had this plugged in, and I booted up the game. I didn't actually have this plugged in yet. I had some of these other ones, but not this one, because I wanted to make sure all my voltages were good before I plugged in my nice new MPU, newish. I don't have my 5 volts anymore. I measured here. The game's turned off. I had my 12 volts there, and right there I had nothing. So the only thing different is, well, I repinned this one, so possibly I messed one of these up, put it in the wrong place. I don't think so, because I did them one at a time. And I also had this one connected. So, well, I also have that jumper on the back, which takes the 5 volt from the top to the bottom. So maybe one of these chips is blown and that took out the 5 volts, or I don't know. But I don't have 5 volts anymore, and I'm getting 12 volts to the board. It's not making the 5 anymore. So I bet that transistor is blown again. What blew it, I don't know at this point. I'm thinking maybe one of these. That's the only, or I could double check this, make sure I've got that pinned right. I think I do. All right, so I'm back on the bench. I've got, yeah, y'all can see that. Okay, I've got it in diode test, 0.47 open. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, so it's blown. I don't know. Off camera a second ago, I went and did kind of the similar. I did a diode test between, you find the corner of the ground of the 5 volts and do a diode test on there. You know, you're looking for something kind of reasonable numbers, no shorts for sure. I did that for all the chips. I didn't see anything, so I'm gonna swap out this, put in a new LM323, and get my 5 volts back, and then I'm gonna plug stuff in one connector at a time, and if it blows, at least I'll be very deliberate about it. Okay, so I pulled it out. This is my old one, this is my new one. So let's just check, see what we got here. Try the other way. Let me try my new one first. 0.5, 0.6, okay. Open, and open. So I was seeing some things in circuit, but that was just because it was in circuit. So anyway, bad biscuit, goes in the trash bin. I'm gonna throw this in there, and hopefully it doesn't blow right away again. I haven't figured out why it was blown. We did have 5 volts for a little bit, but you know, that thing's archaic. So I'll throw this one in there, and we'll slowly start applying power to different things. So I got my 2 grounding screws in, I plugged in that connector. I'm gonna turn it on once more. And see if I still got my 5 volts here. I do. So I got 5.24, which is still fairly high. It'll drop down a little bit more once I plug in some things that consume more 5 volts. Like, so this is going to consume some 5 volts, and this has also got some chips that are going to consume 5 volts. Anyway, so I'm going to turn the game off. I'll turn it off, and I'm going to plug in this chip here, or this connector. And we'll plug it in. We should see a flash and 7 blinks. On some of the modern ones, it's actually like 8 blinks, really. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it's booted. We can't tell because we don't have any of the solenoid drivers going. We don't have any lamps going. And we don't have the displays, but we don't have anything plugged in. So there's no symptom of life except for our one lone GI up there. And I saw there's one there. I think those are the only 2. Oh, there's one over there that's alive. Oh, there's one that's just trying to live. This is gonna have a ton of work on the bulbs, I'm afraid. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And looking forward to doing all these connectors still. So the game's booted. I don't even have the right game on here yet. I'm gonna have to look it up. It's not printed on this board. Figure out what game it is in terms of those switches. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect up some of the solenoids and see if we get chimes, see if we get some stuff to lock on. What the heck? So I decided to take my own advice. I'm gonna plug one thing at a time and I'm gonna boot. You got something so suspect like this game, you know, something goes crazy, you wanna know what caused it. Okay, that booted. I'm gonna plug in another one. I'm just gonna go one at a time here. That was a little short. Put it again. 5, 6, 7. I was off one, but it booted. All right, turn it off. Do one more. We're gonna have all our solenoids. Chimes are not working unless the top one, left one is the chimes. All right, let's plug in our displays here. That's crunchy. Those pins are awful. Hey, we've got, well, most of them are working. That one, I think you've got to go into a display test to get it to go. And that one's got like a lot of burn, but you know, it's all right for player 4. Turn it off again. We'll hook up our switches. Yeah. We'll go one more time. How about we try to credit up a game? This has got the shields on them. Get my finger in there. So that display is just dead. Yeah. Well, I hit it a few times. Yeah, it started up a game. Not getting any solenoids firing. Not sure about that. Should be getting some solenoids firing. Let's go back and check our solenoid voltage here again. Wait, that's the wrong one. Yeah, we got 44 volts. So, well, let's try this. Just for fun, let's click this button here. So the first one, the display's be blinking, but it's unplugged. Second one is a display test. So that one is working. Yeah, that's fine. Got a digit out right there. Got a couple of digits there and a lot of burn there. Also another digit here. So yeah, we got some work on the displays. The next one should be the solenoid test. They're working. 7, 8, 9, 10. So 6, 7, 8. So I have to go to the schematics or the diagrams, and I imagine at least a few of those are the chimes because I'm not hearing any chimes. So I booted it up once more with the lamp board plugged in. Some of them are working. If the bulbs for the displays or for the inserts are as good as the GI lights, there's no wonder they're not working. So anyway, it's mostly coming along. I got still got a lot of work to do. Feel fairly comfortable about, well, I got the power plug fixed, went through this board, got it working, went through this board, got it working. I don't know that every one of these solenoids are firing. It's a brand new board. I still got to repin all 4 of those connectors, which are horrible. Got some more work to do on the displays. That burn there, nothing you can do about it. The missing digits, those are usually pretty easy. Like that one there is probably, that'd be R1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. R11, if we find it here, well, I'm not gonna pull it out. The R11, you probably look at it as visibly torched. It might not be that, but it probably is. Likewise, that one's probably got the R135 and R11. So anyway, what will I do next? Let's look at this. Let's go through the solenoid. Well, I just pulled up the solenoid identification table, and we didn't even have 14. And I was thinking, shoot, I don't have the right game plugged in here yet. So I need to look up Altec spec sheets and put the right game in here first, and then worry about the solenoid. All right, so I found the game. It's 0, 0. Geez, I gotta zoom in a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 1, 1. Yeah. All right, so I got it set for the right game. I'm booting it up. See if the chimes work. Nice. Okay. I'm gonna go through the solenoid test, and I've got the menu here. So we should hear something 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. 13 and 14 are just gonna be clicks. The coin door lockout right here, that should, wow, it's Jimmy Jawed already. There we go. That, and then the number 14 is the relay, which is that relay there. We should just hear it click. So I'm gonna go through the tests here, get to it. That was it. All right, they're all working. So it helps your solenoids work better when you have the right game pulled up. So kind of what's going on here, this board here, it's they're not labeled in here, but there's 4 wires, or 4 or 5 wires. I think it's 4 digital wires. So I say digital, it's their zeros or ones, but most thing is, but not everything. So it's transmitting this data, comes in on this one, and then it goes to these chips here, decipher it, and they basically tell these different solenoids to fire. They basically ground it, and they pull the voltage from the coil, and allows it to pass through. So if you've got the wrong game, it'll do the wrong stuff. So, you know, it was sending things, whatever game was in here, who knows? Shoot, I remember, that was from, it's just a couple months ago. Don't remember what game I pulled this out of. Anyway, it was the wrong game. That game didn't have chimes, so, you know, different set of binary numbers. So, now, to be fair, I really shouldn't have done this the way I did it, because I could still have problems. Things could not be working, because like if one of those pins, one of those 4 pins is not working, it's always going to be a 0, and it's never going to be a 1, thinking of the 0 as low and the 1 as high, because it's pulsing these 0s, 1s, 0, 1s, sending them over here. This one I've repinned, so this one should be good. But if this one's bad and it can't send those signals, it'll, instead of like, say if it's supposed to send a 1, 1, 1, 1 and one of them is dead, it'll just say it'll send a 1, 1, 1, 0. And then this will think it got a 1, 1, 1, 0 when it should have got a 1, 1, 1, 1, and it'll fire the wrong solenoid. So you get that kind of crazy things happening because bad pins. So anyway, so you get that kind of nonsense. But so I guess the next thing I'm going to do, which is really pretty boring and nobody really wants to watch me do it too much, I'm going to repin all this. I'm not going to film that. And this one, I'm going to put in an LED board. I'm going to get a Weebly LED board. So I guess the last thing I'm going to do in this video is probably repair these displays the best I can. There's several of them that I can fix up quite a bit. I've got a real good video. I think it's a real good video with a schematic, basically a logic diagram of how to attack these things. And maybe I'll pull it up and follow it a little bit. But I'm gonna at least try to repair all the ones with missing digits. There's a couple different things that could be. But anyway, I'll pull up the logic diagram I've made, and we'll go through them one at a time. So here's that video I was referencing, how to repair Bally the plasma chart and with flow charts, and there's a flow chart linked in here. You pull it, I've got it opened up over here. So this is it. Okay. So number one, resolder the header pins. We've already done that. Does the glass glow? Yes. Okay, isolate to a single bad display. We didn't actually do that, probably should have, because sometimes you get a bad one on one, you get a bad one on another one. That really doesn't apply to a missing digit. It's more when you get crazy stuff. Is one or more digit too bright? No. Is a digit missing? Yes. Okay. Check or replace corresponding R1 through R3. So that's probably what it is. We're going to do that first. And those, the R1 through R3, they should be, let's say they're 100 ohms. If that isn't the problem, then we check or replace Q1 through Q6 or Q7 through Q12. So R3 is right there. So each one of those displays has a corresponding resistor, and then there's, for the digits, each digit has a transistor right here, or an SER, and that's the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So it's just like they're lined up right there. So the R3 would, so it's that one. The second digit on this one would be right there. So those two transistors or SERs are also suspect, but usually it's the resistor. That's why I put it, check it first. So we're going to check R3 and see if it's good or bad. So I reflowed the solder on the pin again. I re-measured all the two transistors and one resistor, and everything looked good. I put in the game the same, and then I did this. I swapped this one and this one. So this is actually the one we were looking at, and it's working now. And this is the one that was up there, and it's missing. So the problem is not the display. The problem is either the little pin in there or the power coming to the pin. So it's this connector. It's this. It needs to be either repinned or the power is not getting to the pin. It's in the harness or something else. So the display is fine. So I'm going to try to, I got to figure out which one of these wires is responsible for strobing that digit and work backwards from there. All right, so I pulled up the schematics here. There's the ones, the tens digits. That's the one that's not working. And so there's that R3, which I thought was suspect. There's the Q8, which is one of them, and then there's another one corresponding down the other side. But in any case, that's getting its strobe from pin number 5. So that's what we're looking for, is pin 5. See if we've got voltage strobing on that one, and it should look just like 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The 5 is our problem child. So I pulled up the connector. Let me zoom in here a little bit further. You see there in my thumb, that connector that's just broken off? That's the bad biscuit. I bet you money. So it's just that blue wire is not connecting. So that's an easy fix. So I'll just repin that one and fix the display, fix the connection. So we got a new connector in there, and we'll boot it up, see if it works. All right, so I'll take care of, maybe I'll do one of these other ones since that one was such a weirdo. Get it in. I'll try this one out here. That one should be R1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. R11, we'll see. All right, so we're looking for R11. There's 1, 3, 5, and there's 7, 9, 11. So let's check some of the good ones first. Yep, put it on resistance would help. 106, 102, open. It's pretty dirty, so I just want to make sure I'm not getting it open just because I don't have good connection here. Yep, that's just a bad biscuit. All right. So we'll desolder and put in a new R11 100 ohm, and that should fix that problem. So that fixed the display. I went ahead and did the other one that had 2 digits out, and it was also the R5 and R11. So usually 80 or 90% of the time, if you got a display missing, it's the digit. If not, well, that's assuming you've got the header pins resoldered. So everything's working. This one's got a whole lot of burn, and where's the other one? That one's got a medium, well, quite a bit of burn also. And one of these has a little bit. That's just a tiny bit. I don't even worry about that at all. But again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I like to have one display. I probably put that one in player 4, just so you know the real. And that one would be a good player 4 digit one also. I'll stick that in the back, and I'll stick that in another game for player 4. I just, you know, it's an old game. And, you know, you can buy a whole, Weebly, in fact, Weebly sells a real nice set of these, like $150. You get all new LEDs, which actually would have solved my whole issue up here, because you don't even need the high voltage. So for $150, if you're doing this yourself, you want to make it easier on yourself, buy new boards, $150. If this part here doesn't work, you don't need it. Take that fuse out, and actually you can take the fuse out over here for making the 250. And if any of these little, I think the high voltage it's made over here with these the 4 diodes. Any of that, you don't need it, because you don't need the high voltage anymore. So it's a way to go. Me personally, I just like the classic look of them, and I even like a little burn, just because I'm kind of used to it. Anyway, so I'm going to end this video here. I've still got some more work to do, just kind of maintenance, repinning, and I've obviously got a ton of work on this playfield to go through, and probably switches and bulbs and everything else, but I'll say that for another video. Anyway, if you like the video, click like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers.